What is going on, guys? Welcome to this episode of Odds and Ends. I'm not going to lie, I've been putting this one off for a while. NES Advantage Teardown and cleaning video. This is going to actually require a little bit more work. In doing the research, you know, you kind of need to have like a socket to get into these things, a pair of pliers to get these buttons off, all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, it's going to be quite the challenge. You can see there's some dirt in those grooves. It's pretty nasty to get all that out. We've got a sticker that we got to get rid of on the back. We've got some ink or whatever the hell that is, some scratches on there. We've got some sticker residue right there. So again, this is going to be quite the undertaking. So guys, hope you enjoy this episode of Odds and Ends NES Advantage Teardown. Alright guys, here we are, the NES Advantage. I got a band-aid on, I got a boo-boo, but we're going to get this thing taken apart. This is actually going to test our skills a little bit. It's got a little bit more integral parts to it than the old Genesis Model 3, which was pretty easy to tear down and put back together. So let's take a look at the tools that we will need for this job. As always, got a hodgepodge of random screwdrivers there. We've got our regular Phillips screwdriver or crosshead screwdriver. We will need a 10mm socket. I don't know if that's going to focus. 10mm socket, just take my word for it. And then we've also got a set of pliers. Now, you will notice that I've wrapped one end with electrical tape and another with pink packaging tape. Truth is, I ran out of electrical tape. You should probably wrap both sides with electrical tape. And the reason is, to get these knobs off, you have to pull them straight up with a pair of pliers. Now, as most pliers are serrated on the inside of there, if you put serrated pliers on this knob and you try and pull up, you are going to rip the hell out of this knob. So, you want to cushion that with copious amounts of electrical tape or packaging tape. So, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get these knobs off, and then the ball on the joystick, that thing just twists right off. So there we go. Got our first piece off. We will get the knobs off. Okay, guys, we got these knobs off. They just go on like that. What I do is I turn this all the way to the left because this thing has a dot on it. And if we put the dot right back on there, it'll always line up perfectly. Now, like I said, this is a little bit more delicate, a little bit more intricate than the ones that we've been doing. I cannot stress to you guys enough that when you put your pliers on here, you need to pull straight up. Okay? If you pull this thing off at an angle, you could snap off one of these prongs, and you do not want to do that. So if you're going to do this on your own, you got to pull this straight up. Now, as I was doing some research for this, a lot of YouTubers learned the hard way. I got the benefit of watching their videos first. Do not take a screwdriver and stick it in there like that and try and turn that. Do not do that. These prongs do not turn. If you look in there, in the bottom, you will see a nut on each one of those. That's where our 10mm socket comes in. You want to take your socket, put it in there, and take those out. So we'll do that now. Okay, you can see we've got the nuts out of there. Let's take a look at them real quick. Each nut has a washer, and as you put them back in, you just put the nut on the washer, and then you're going to put the washer back in there. So we'll get to that when it's time to get to that. All right, so we've gotten everything off the face that we need to take off the face. Now, on the back, you're going to notice that there's two screws right here and right here. Unfortunately, there are 4 more screws under each one of these paddings. Now, once you take these rubber paddings off, you might not get them back on, so you might need another adhesive to reapply them. So let's go ahead and lift these off, and we'll take a look at the screws. Okay, so we got the screws out. You can see that by taking those rubber feet off, it leaves like a residue right there. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wash this, so all that's going to come off. But yeah, basically there you go. The bottom part should just come right off. And this is a nice heavy metal piece. And let's take a look at what we got in there. Okay, so we've got standard controller stuff, right? We've got our board, and on the back of that, there's going to be buttons and things like that. So we'll get this all taken off. Okay, so we got those screws out, and just to recap, over the joystick here, there were 4 brass-colored screws, and then this piece lifts off, and we've got the joystick part. Now we'll clean all that out. I'm not sure if the spring comes out or not. We'll do a little research, see if that comes out. This little cross right here actually holds the wires down for the outlet, the plug. So you just take those 3 screws, pull that straight up. Then there's a little black screw that goes there, a little black screw that goes there, and then one that goes right here. So we can get in on that. And then that is attached to this little metal piece that has, let me dump the screw out, that has a little prong on it. That prong goes in that little slot right there. I don't know if you can see that right there. There it is. And then all you got to do is lift up on the plug thing there. And this thing should come off. As you can see, it comes up off of that post. So let's see if we can get it done with one hand. There we go. Let's flip that over. Look at that thing. Okay, so we got a ton of buttons on there. It's pretty gross. A lot of dirt in there. So we'll get this all cleaned up just like we would a normal controller. We'll take all these pieces and bits out and clean them up. So let's give it a good scrub, shall we? All right. We've got everything washed and clean, so it's time for reassembly. Guys, I'm not going to fake the funk on a nasty dunk here. I don't know if this spring is supposed to come out. While I was washing this thing, it didn't come out, so I don't know if it's stuck on there or if it's not meant to come out. So I would say if you're doing this to your NES Advantage and that spring doesn't come off, don't force it, because if you try and pull it, you're just going to end up overextending the spring. Okay, so we're putting our buttons back in, and it can kind of be confusing. We know our red buttons, right? Go there. Like so. But we've got, buttons that go here and in here, and they're all different. So I want you guys to remember this when you're putting these things back in, the 3, 2, 1 method, okay? So we're going to start off with our 3. You see how they're all oval shaped with the slot cut out of the middle? We're going to take those. One goes there. One goes there. And the other one is for the slow motion. So it goes right there. So you can see it's got a cutout, cutout, cutout. So there's your 3. Now we've got 2. Whoop, trying to find it there. Put 1 in, and then I'll show you. There it is. Having a little trouble there. All right, so these have a little circle inside of them, a little United Nations logo right there. So just put those 2 in there. And then these 2 rubber backings go on the back of our little United Nations buttons. Like that. So then the last one that we have is this one that's a full oval around there with sort of a little rectangle cutout. That one goes up top and it goes right in there. And we just stick the backings on our buttons and we are done with that part. We're ready to put the board and everything else back on. Alright guys, I forgot one piece. Like I said, the joystick here. You'll see it's got a little X on the back, and you'll notice that there's slots on that make an X right there. So all you do is you just put that in there. Of course, this is going to be hard to do with one hand, but essentially that thing just goes right back in there to give it a little spring action. So alright, we'll get this together. Alright guys, we've got all of the screws back in here. Again, there's the 4 brass screws right there. We've got 3 right here on our little cross. Now remember, if you look at this, the deep part is up. You don't flip that around and put that on the board the other way. We've got our 3 black screws that go in there, and then we've put our cable right back where it's supposed to go in there. So all we have to do now is put the back on, and then we can flip this thing over and work on the front. Alright guys, so we're coming down to the end. Put all the screws back in here. I put these feet on there. They were still sticky on the feet end, so they did adhere back onto there. I don't know how long that's going to hold for, but hey, we'll see. They went back on. Alright, So we went ahead and we put the top of the joystick back on there. Like I said, just screws on clockwise. The last thing that we have to do is get our turbo buttons back in there. So the first thing we want to do is we want to take the washer, put the washer in there, and then take the nut. Whoops, drop the nut on there, dropping nuts everywhere. All right. Now, if these things do not go in flat, you want to use a small screwdriver, make sure that they're flat on there. And then just take your 10mm socket, get in there, tighten that down, and then all you're going to do is line up the arrows with the dot on top of the button, like so, and then just push that down manually, and that's all you got to do. So we'll get that other one on there and we'll take a look at it. Okay, so we got our second turbo button on there. Everything works great. That nice button action right there, if you will, all that stuff. Everything is nice and clean. We got the sticker off the back. You can still kind of see the imprint there. And then all those red lines and stuff that were on the side, we went ahead and used a magic eraser to get those off. Do not use the magic eraser on any of the painted on words, or you will strip them off. But yeah, all in all, we got inside all those cracks, and it looks a hell of a lot better. So guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.